3.6, clearing an equation of fractions. So a lot of people really have problems when they see a fraction. They kind of quit and don't want to do the problem because they fear it. And I'm going to show you how you can get rid of your fractions and do a problem with no fractions. That doesn't mean you won't end up with a fraction, but we'll clear them out and get them away. So looking at this problem that I have right here, the first thing you want to do is find a common denominator. So you have 2, 3, and 6. Always kind of start with the biggest one and see if you could multiply to get that with the others. Well, here, if I did 3 times 2, I would get 6. And here, if I did 3 times 2, I would get 6. So now we have a common denominator is 6. You're going to multiply everything by 6. So this is going to be multiplied by 6. This is going to be multiplied by 6. This is going to be multiplied by 6. And this is multiplied by 6. So now we can simplify the fraction. And when we do, we have a 6 on top, and there's a 1 on the bottom every time. Technically, we just don't have to draw them in. 6 divided by 3, because we can cross and simplify. So 3 divided by 3 becomes 1. 6 divided by 3 becomes 2. So I have 2 times 2 is 4x. Here, again, I can take 2 out. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I get 3x equals. 6 divided by 6 is 1. And I'm just left with 5. And there's no division there at all. It's just multiplication. So 2x times 6 is 12x. Now it goes back to what we were just doing the other day, solving an equation. No concern now about the fraction. So let's get the variables on the same side. Or, let's collect like terms. 4x plus 3x is 7x. And nothing to collect on the other side because they are candy corn and Smarties. All right, so now let's get the variable on the same side. I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 7x just because I like to have a subtraction problem that doesn't have negative numbers if I can. So 7x minus 7x is the 0 we were hoping for. Nothing happened to the 5. 12x minus 7x is 5x. Now we need to get the x by itself. So addition and subtraction. So subtract that 5 from both sides. This does give me the 0. 5 minus 5. 0 minus 5 is going to be negative 5. And now we divide. This is a multiplication problem, so the opposite is division. And we get x equals 5 divided by 5 is 1, negative 1. Now let's look at it again. We have another fractional problem. The question is, what's our common denominator? Always start with the biggest number and see what happens. So if I say 8 is my common denominator, 4 times 2 gives me 8. 2 times 4 gives me 8. 2 times 4 gives me 8. So 8 is our common denominator. Multiply everything times 8. Each term has to be divided by 8 or multiplied by 8. Now let's see what happens. Here we have 8 divided by 8. Remember that one's on top, one's on the bottom. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 7x plus. Here, 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So 2 times 3 is 6. Okay. 2 and an 8. Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 4 times x is 4x. And 8 divided by 2, just like the last one, would be 4. So you get 3 times 4 is 12. Now it's a much less stressful problem. We can keep going and not have to think about it. So now we go back, no parentheses, so no cleanup, no collecting like terms. Now we want to get the variable on the same side. I'm going to subtract 4x. It doesn't matter which one you subtract. I could have subtracted the 7x from both sides. I just like making it as easy as I can. So here, 7 minus 4 is 3x. We have 7 x's. We take away 4 x's. We are left with 3 x's. Bring down your 6. 4x minus 4x, they're opposites, so they do equal 0 plus 12. Now, we have the variable on the same side. We're going to add and subtract to try to get this variable by itself. It's a plus 6, so the opposite would be minus 6. This is 0. Here we're left with 3x equals 12 minus 6, which is 6. Now that leaves up with multiplying and dividing. It's a multiplication, so the opposite of multiplication would be division. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I'm left with x. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And that is the answer to that one. So let's go ahead and come up again with the common denominator. And this time we have 6, 2, and 3. Starting with the largest 6, I can make this a 6 if I do 2 times 3. I can make this a 6 if I do 3 times 2. So 6 is our common denominator. Multiply everything times 6, because that was our common denominator. Even the numbers that don't have fractions, we have to multiply by 6 because everything has to have it, or it's not fair. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and you're left with 5x. Again, 2 divided by 2 is 1, but 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. Bring down my equal. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 2 times 2 is 4x. And there's nothing to divide. Just 4 times 6 is 24. Much calmer problem, much easier problem to handle. No parentheses, so no cleanup. No like terms on the same side. So now we want to get the variable by itself. Subtract that 4x from both sides. Again, I could subtract by 5x. It's just a choice. 4x minus 4x does give us the 0 we're hoping for. 5 minus 4 gives us 1. Plus 3x equals 0 plus 24. And now we're going to go ahead and add and subtract. It's a positive 3. Opposite would be negative 3. That gives me my 0. X equals 21. All right, so let's start another one. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to find the common denominator. We're going to do some of the multiplication, and then I'm going to leave some of it for you to do. So looking for common denominators. I look at the 10. There isn't anything times 4 that's going to get me to 10. So what would 2 times 10 be? 20. So let's see if 20 works. So 2 times 10, 4 times 5, 5 times 4. So our common denominator this time would be 20. And remember, we multiply it times everything. So now we're looking here and we say, okay, 20, as 5 divided by 5 is 1, 20 divided by 5 is 4. So I get 4 times 4 is 16x minus, see, 4 divided by 4 is 1, 20 divided by 4 is 5, negative 3 times 5 is 15. And this is where I'm going to stop. You need to complete the multiplication on this side and then solve the problem all the way down to get x. Try that on your own. Please show it to me tomorrow. If you struggle on doing it by yourself, then definitely sit down with me and we'll work on the problem together.